Hello everybody, Andy here from Glass Half Dead, the #1 kill team channel on YouTube, which is weird because firstly, that may not be entirely true. Also, I'm not going to talk about kill team in this video, but basically we just had Adepticon and if I'm honest, there were a lot of cool previews for just GW in general, obviously, and I just want to talk about them because a lot of it is kind of nostalgia bait with Old World, and I still like 40k despite not playing it really, but I want to, trust me, and a bunch of Age of Sigmar stuff as well. So I'm going to talk about all of that. It's going to be pretty surface level, obviously, and I'm not actually going to read the whole articles because there's a lot. And if you want specific things, I'm sure that there are channels, better channels than I, for the specific ones you want. So let's start with what for many is going to be the biggest, well, it is the biggest number of models released, and it's the Empire of Grand Cathay. This is an old world army. So back in the day, Warhammer Fantasy Old World, Cathay existed far to the east of the map. I don't believe they ever had any models at all. I think they had like one piece of artwork. There really wasn't much about them. But then we had the computer game, Warhammer, Total War, Warhammer, right? No, Total War, Warhammer release, and they actually got the full army in the #3 of that, which was pretty awesome. I do kind of wonder behind the scenes if GW decided we're bringing back Old World and we are doing Grand Cathay. Hey, Total War Warhammer, put this in your game. Or if it was the other way around and GW had time to see how well Grand Cathay did in Total War Warhammer 3, and they said, oh, we're re-releasing Old World, we should do this. It'd be really interesting to know, but we won't. Cool, moving on. So this is them. If you buy their whatever £150 box, you get all of this. As always with Old World, you need a hell of a lot more models than in any of GW's other games, but they look pretty cool, and these are all new sculpts and models, which is really cool. I mean, they have to be because they didn't exist until now. They are pretty much what you would expect, a standard rank and file. I will say, for me, in my eyes, as a colorblind aficionado, these look super muddy and brown. I don't know what color they actually are, but just whatever this scheme is, everything just looks really hard to pick out, weirdly. I have no doubt, though, that some alternative color schemes will make these absolutely bang. That's really cool. There you go. I'm just going to scroll through them because I have nothing really to say. I'm not super into Warhammer 3, so I can't talk about that too much. These look massive. They are. It's rather impractical, but very Warhammer, so that's good. And then these Cathayan Sentinels, you can't tell here, these are massive as well. So that's great to see. Love a big model. I think these are going to be really good, what's the word? Conversion fodder. So that's really great. There you go, and we get loads of stuff. If you are into Old World, I mean, just look at how good these models look and how they're clearly using all the new tech GW has access to compared to some of the old dragons that they have lying around, right? Yeah, I mean, these guys, this is something you might just buy as a cool looking model, right? I would say that is not the case for most Old World things in this day and age, but this, I'd buy this. I'd have this on my shelf behind me. That would look banging. Cool. That's all I'm going to say about Grand Cathay. We then go over to Beastmen versus Wood Elves. I'm not going to talk about Beastmen because I have nothing to say about them. I've never had any interest in them. I just want to very quickly wax lyrical about the Wood Elves. When Old World was around, I collected, back in the day when I was too young, I was an amoeba, and I collected Dark Elves. I remember they did a box set, which I managed, which my parents bought for me, and I collected Wood Elves, and that was all I ever bought. I never had any other army. I never played with Dark Elves. In the sense of I never even put them on a table and said, oh, I am pretending to play, because I think I was that age. However, I did actually have a Wood Elf army, and I played in-store. Once, it was the Dartford Blue Water Games Workshop before it closed down. It was in the dying days of fantasy, just before Sigmar launched, and they scrapped the whole thing. And I just bought all these new models because some of these plastic kits are like new, right? Which is why these, I think they're called Thorn Sisters, these antler ladies, what are they called? Mounted elks, I don't know. And these Eternal Guard, they actually look like they're basically new sculpts. They're still old in the grand scheme of things, obviously, but actually solid, really solid, very dynamic. Whereas the Glade Guard back here, bit old, bit cringe, but it's fine, whatever. So this is an army where I might say, you know what? I'm going to buy this and put it on my shelf because it has nostalgia for me. However, would I ever play Old World? No, not really. Not my vibe. Not my vibe. But just from a pure nostalgia perspective, this would be the army that I might pick up because it does a lot for me. There you go. We then move over to Age of Sigmar, the successor. And specifically, they are releasing a new Spearhead rules and also new match play rules. The Spearhead, Sand and Bone now. So we're moving over to the world of Shyish, Death, Undeath, etc. And this terrain here has already been seen in the Warcry starter pack. So if you have that out, ready to go, you're sorted, well done. They have repositioned the objectives, which is fine, I guess. I don't think that's going to change anything. But there you go, that's good. We keep going, that's the terrain, which is fine. That's okay terrain. Those are the two sides of the board. Oh, it does look quite interesting. That looks like that would make a difference. That less so, that's very similar to the previous ones. And we then have new decks of twists. Is that 3 decks of twists? Twists? No, sorry. New twists and then your standard battle tactics. We then get new platoons. I don't know why I've said platoon because I saw the word. New spearheads. It doesn't say whether or not these are going to be actually purchasable or if now, because that would be crazy to do new boxes of spearheads every year and keep all of that in stock. I imagine this will be a case if you have to go out and buy these 4 kits. Sorry, I don't know, but there you go. Yeah, impossible to know. I did read the article, it didn't jump out at me, but yeah, cool. Right, and then of note, because I have to call this out every time. If you're a 40k player or even a kill team player, actually, I will say kill team as well. The Age of Sigmar team does such a good job of doing their products. The General's Handbook always is so much better. Just everything they do has just a level of polish above the 40k IP teams. Cringe, I know, sad to say, but so there you go. I have often said in the past, even if you don't really care about the rules of Sigmar and you just like the models maybe, so you do have a few, buy the General's Handbook. It's a good read. I like a lot of what the Age of Sigmar team is doing. However, I will have to say one of the big things about the General's Handbook that makes it a must-buy is it is spiral bound. This isn't spiral bound. It also has a tab system as you flick through. I don't think that normally it's hardback and spiral bound. If this isn't hardback and spiral bound, that's actually a real letdown, and what's the opposite of elevates? Lowers it back down to standard GW 40k lazy product design. I'm against that. It's a big step down. Now, the argument is that you don't even need the book because these cards are basically the book. And so why would you need to put production quality into a nice, expensive hardback book where you're just actually going to use the cards functionally? I understand. It is what it is. Anyway, these objective markers I will buy because they look quite cool. There you go. And that's cool. There you go. And then a bunch of stuff on the horizon that I don't care about really. So that's nice. Which brings us over to 40k. So we're going to get a new chapter approved mission deck. I purchase these every time I get them. They come out, and I don't play the game. The interesting thing here is, so basically you've got 1,000 points, 2,000 points, and you've got multiplayer. No, it's not multiplayer. Sorry, it's asymmetric. So my initial thought was, why are they putting asymmetric narrative missions in the chapter approved mission deck, right? But then I thought, well, hold on. Are they doing that because they want to actually play? Because, to be clear, it would take so much effort for GW to actually change the competitive scene, even though technically they own the competitive scene, right? Like, but they would have to swap all of their mission packs to, we use asymmetric war now. They won't do it, but it just means it's quite odd to put these into the competitive mission deck when no one's going to use them. But then I guess nobody uses the 1,000 points either, or if they do, I certainly don't see it. So there you go. Interesting. It's nice that they've included 1,000 points. As I've said in the past, anytime I played 40k, I just don't understand 2,000 point games. 1,000 points genuinely seems like where the game should be played. Yes, there are issues with 1,000 points over 2,000 points, but it's just a better game, you know? However, very interestingly, one thing I had said about Spearhead is that I really like the battle tactics cards. It gives you not only your objective at the top, which if you can score, you then score, but then below it also gives you an ability you can play, like a ploy or a stratagem, whatever you want to call it. So you can look at it and say, oh, well, if I can score, I will, but if not, I can do the thing. Very cool. Or if you don't care about winning, you just want to have fun and roll more dice, just do the thing. So interestingly, they have updated the 40k pack to include that. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So you can either, for free, because you've chosen to do this, go ahead and do a thing, or you can score it. I really like it. One of the things I had said about looking at Spearhead and Age of Sigmar is that I really liked that card system, and I wish that it was just in the main game. I just liked it. And now it's in the main game for 40k, and you only have to be 6 VP behind to be able to use this? I was like, that sounds really good. Now, I'm not 100% up to date on 40k scoring in 2k games, but it is out of 100, and you do get a lot of games where I believe you easily score over 6 points in a turn. So I think these are meant to be used, like definitely from turn 3 onwards, kind of thing. I can definitely see the competitive players now specifically aiming to be exactly 7 points or 6 points, whatever it is. If it's 6 points and under, yeah, who are training by 6 points or more, yeah. So I can 100% see that some competitive players will fully intend to be exactly 6 VP under their opponent. There will be times where it will be beneficial to you to not score additional VP, because you'll be able to draw one of these, and that's thing. That's just the nature of the beast. But I like that they're bringing this into 40k. It's cool, and again, I will buy these objective sets. I did buy the ones for Pariah Nexus and have used them once, so that's good in a game of Age of Sigmar. So there you go. I will buy these. We then get over to the 40k codices and models coming. We've got a World Eaters guy. I will say I have a World Eaters army, and I have like 9 of these guys. This guy just looks like another one. They haven't done anything to make this guy look better. I think he has a few more skulls between his legs. Big balls between big legs. But that's it. Otherwise he just looks normal. So that's a little bit of a letdown, actually. There you go. Cool. Death Guard, we've seen this guy before. Yeah. And then add a left pocket with the 1,000 Suns. I don't know if I like it. If I had 1,000 Suns, I'd be totally into it. I've no doubt It's a weird one. There it is. Okay, I guess. And then GW is currently doing this whole buy each of these super limited edition, you're never going to get your hands on them, don't even joke, don't even kid yourself, you're going to be able to get them reliably. Chaos editions, which nobody's going to be able to get, so there you go. And it's just going to be scalped, so we're not going to really take part in that and promoting it. We then get the Grey Knights. Now the Grey Knights, ooh, that's an army. That's an army I could be interested in. This is them promoting the Grey Knight Codex. So that means logically it's going to be new units, right? There aren't. New, drop the plural, new unit. And here's a bit of a unit. So firstly, Crusade, and the theme is Armageddon, which is pretty cool. You know, it's nice that they're plumbing that well once again. You know, it's not dry yet. Let's get back into it. Good, love to see it. Yeah, nice. Then we got the Grey Knights Codex. I swear this artwork has been used before. If not, it looks so identical that it looks like it's just been used before. However, we do have a new model, or not really. We have an updated sculpt for a model. So this is a new, what's it called? Dread Knight? Yeah, a new Nemesis Dread Knight with new weapon options for the Grandmasters and some additional bits and bobs that you can add to it, which is cool. That's good. However, and you know, rightly so, but it is still the baby carrier. They've stuck with that. Of course they were going to stick with that. They're already, you know, the point of the Grey Knights is they are so elite, you don't even want to cover them up. That's how good they are, right? So why would you cover up the strongest psychers in the world, in the galaxy, by putting them in? Anyway, the flail looks cool. There you go. Then we get Space Wolves, which are, of course, the natural counterpart to Grey Knights. In case you don't know, they are natural enemies for bizarre reasons. And then all new Grey Knight Space Wolves kits, actually. I said Grey Knights because they're grey, but they're different thing. Different grey, different grey. They're blue. They're baby blue. They're cornflower blue. In Fight Club, the boss would be asking, can you paint these Marines in cornflower blue? And the narrator would be like, spitting blood at the guy. Anyway, here you go. So, this is an interesting one. Because, if you're a Space Wolves player, this is obviously awesome. Great. You get, what are they called? Blood Claws and Grey Hunters. And then, we'll talk about the more elite guys, but firstly, these guys. Look, these guys are what they are. They don't scream Space Wolf to me. I guess they do have weird looking heads, but that's all you expect really. And then the occasional wolf tail. That's kind of it. But then these are your beginners. If I have it right, Space Wolves, their scouts are the more advanced, and the Blood Claws are the actual like scouts who are like the absolute noobs. They're very bloodthirsty and they tend to charge forwards very hard, very heavy. And so you kind of let the Blood Claws die out before they advance to the higher ranks, obviously. Whereas most chapters have their scouts, you know, before they earn their plate, they have to do the scout training, etc. Whereas Space Wolves do it differently, at which point you become a Grey Hunter. That's not true. That's not the second step. But I think you become a Long Fang next. Now, anyway, Grey Hunters, these are your standard Marines, your normal Marines. You don't have tactical Marines, you have Grey Hunters. So the question here is, are your Grey Hunters going to be a proper tactical squad with all different loadouts? No. They're going to have bolters and chainsaws. There you go. Now, I will say, that's probably pretty good, if I'm honest, because it means you're going to have the firepower of an Intercessor squad and the melee capability of an Assault Intercessor squad, which is nice. There you go. But it's not a proper tactical squad where you have actual weapons and loadouts, which is fine. That's okay. Although from my limited knowledge of 40k, in general, the way the game works is each unit to kind of be, you know, if you're thinking competitively, if you're thinking fluff, awesome, job done, great. But if you're thinking competitively, each unit needs to fill a role, and very often, for example, you don't necessarily need a unit to be good at two things. It's nice if it is, if the points allow it, but you will be taking a team to sit on an objective, or to push into the enemy and hold them up, or to screen for the enemy, so you want it to be as cheap as possible whilst being as durable as possible, etc. An all-rounder unit, which is relatively durable because they're Marines and relatively okay at shooting and relatively okay at melee, although it might be good for a flex pick if you got the points and it kind of does what you need to do for other reasons, because of its ability maybe. But you don't really need it to do all of that. You would rather pay 10 points less and just not have chainsaws, and therefore just take an intercession squad. You know, that kind of thing. But who cares about competitive, right? We then move on to the Wolf Guard head takers. Now, I will admit, I'm blocking you, aren't I? There you go. When I saw these wolves, I thought this was a repackage. I don't think these wolves look very good at all. There you go. Awkward. This guy looks cool AF, obviously. Love a wolf cloak. Love a runic shield. Very cool. This guy, jizzworthy. Love it. Blow my load 24/7. Amazing. This guy less so, but you get me. Super cool. I will say, guys, I hate to say it, drop a comment, with or without helmet. I thought these guys looked cool until I saw this guy. I just think the helmet looks cooler. Is the rat tail on this guy's helmet silly? Yes. Yes, it intensely. Might cut that off. But I think helmeted looks so much cooler. What, is that a hot take or is that a cold take? Let me know. Then we get a Wolf Guard battle leader. Looks awesome. Again, looks better with a helmet, but to each their own. Yeah, fire. Wolf Priest. This guy might look better without a helmet. They got me on that one. This guy doesn't speak to me at all, which is interesting. But, you know, at least he's not a devious psyker and is doing things using runes. Good, hearty runes. There you go. I will say Space Wolves don't speak to me hugely as an army. But I'm glad that they've released, and I hope that this paves the way for more, what are they called? Chapter specific regular troops. You know, we've had the Crusader squads for Black Templars, which I will hammer down on again. There is nothing cooler in the world than chaining your weapon to your hands. I would happily take the Black Templar hands and weapons, because they're chained, and just put them on every Marine. There you go. There you go. These guys don't have it, so naturally these are worse than the Black Templars. That is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Yeah, these don't speak to me hugely, but hopefully this will pave the way for Blood Angels. That's it. That's the only other thing I can think of. I would take new Tyranid War veterans for Ultramarines, but whatever. And that's it. That's the end of the reveals. Woof. Let's make sure that's actually true. While I'm here, let's make sure they didn't do anything else after Space Wolves, because that'd be awkward if I do every... Yeah, we're done. Okay, good. Excellent. Boom. Wow. Well, there you go, everybody. Obviously, if somehow you've made it to the end of this and you weren't aware that I just did a kill team video before this, like half an hour ago, go check that out. I speak with actual authority on that because I know the game. Everything here, I'm just like, oh, it's a cool model. Nice. Because they are cool models. And you know what, man? That's what we're here for. Just cool models and stuff. Really. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Who cares about the rest? Anyway, clearly I have a whole load of Tyranids that I need to go and paint, because I guess I'm going to do something with that narrative and the MPOs. Yeah, I'll figure that one out. Anyway, what was your coolest reveal that isn't Kill Team in this one.